right now. Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome inside the Fan Cave. This is where we talk sports. Bob Pompeani with you at 412-575-2600. It's the number to call. Andrew Fillipponi's up at 93.7 The Fan. Today, Andrew, you went through what a lot of dads go through. Your daughter was sick at home. You had to take care of business. I'm glad. I hope she's doing better, and good to have you on here tonight.
Bob, thanks. First time in my life I had somebody else's throw up in my own mouth. That was a weird feeling, but I didn't mind it as much because it was my daughter's and not some complete strangers that would probably have caused me to throw up. So if I at any point kind of have an exorcist moment and start projectile vomiting at the camera, you'll know that I have caught her stomach bug in the last few hours.
It just takes me back to your days at Syracuse University where your throw up was just a regular part of a weekend.
There was a lot of that, Bob. That's right. A day that ended in Y was probably a day where I threw up. No, but she's sleeping comfortably now. And, yeah, it is a horrible feeling as a parent. I learned this firsthand today. When you can tell your kid is in pain and there's really not anything you can do about it. I mean, you do your best you can to soothe and give them medicine and that kind of thing, but it just stinks watching your kid go through something like that.
You're right. You feel more pain than they do. You don't want them to go through it, but it's all part of it. But glad you're here tonight. 412-575-2600 is the number if you want to call in. Andrew, I want to start with the Pirates. They're 3 days away from starting, and we learned today that Carmen Mlodzinski is going to be a fifth starter. And it's not going to be Thomas Harrington. He was sent down along with two first baseman options that I thought one of the two would be there, Hall or Stewart. They're not going to be there. So first base starts with, it looks like a trio of guys. Boy, they've been searching for a first baseman for, it looks like a decade. But it's going to be Adam Frazier, maybe, platooning with Jared Triolo and Endy Rodriguez, which means Henry Davis is not in this equation. Your thoughts on this roster as it is right now?
My thoughts on this roster is that they're closer to winning. I see a team that probably at best finishes in third place and at worst finishes in last place again this season.
Yeah, I look at Mlodzinski, and while I do like his arm, I thought it better suited for the relief role, which he's been in largely since he's been here. I was a little surprised they didn't go with Harrington, but that's the situation they have. You know, I look at when they say about it's time for playoffs, you got to win. All these games matter, even in April. And the fact that at this point they have a platoon situation going at first. I know there's an injury there to Horwitz, but when you don't in the pitching department bring up maybe somebody better suited to be a starter like Harrington, I thought he had a spot maybe earned on this team. But also then you have a guy who's been sent down because it appears he has options left, so they're going to take advantage of that. And that would be Kyle Nicholas, who I thought had a pretty good arm also. Yes, a little wild, but he had a lot of innings in the spring. He was 2-2 last year with a 3.95 ERA and capable of closing games, I thought. And if the reason is that he has options left and you're sending him down just for that reason, are you really trying to win at the beginning of the season, is my question.
Yeah, I don't look at Kyle Nicholas as one of those make-or-break guys. I don't see him as someone where he starts the year in the minor leagues, like you said, because of some contractual control stipulation or wanting to depress a guy's major league clock, you know, to keep him away from Super 2 or to keep him in your system longer. I think it's close with those guys in an effort to keep as many good players in the good arms in their organization. He's the odd man out. You'd rather do that than put a guy at AAA who might be a tick worse or is even with Nicholas and he doesn't have options. So someone will get injured. I don't really have an issue with that. But I agree with what you're saying about the way that they built the lineup and the way that they collected hitters this offseason and the lack of money spent there. Tommy Pham has no business being an everyday player at this age. You know, 2 years ago, maybe he came on and played great for the Diamondbacks, and getting them to a World Series was a huge trade deadline acquisition. Was not bad for the Royals last year when he was in the playoffs with them, but come on now. I mean, in the Paul Skeens era, there should be bigger moves than Tommy Pham. To be honest, Bob, I'd rather have Jack Sawinski play every day in right field and have Brian Reynolds play first base than have Tommy Pham go out there and play most days. I'd rather see Endy Rodriguez play and have somebody else, you know, occupy that first. I'd rather have Endy Rodriguez occupy that first base spot than Adam Frazier or Jared Triolo, because I want to see that guy get at bats and see what he can do at the major league level. So this is what happens, Bob. I'm saying these things like, hey, give the developmental guy a shot. We shouldn't be talking about giving developmental guys a shot. We should be talking about what are the moves that give this team a chance to make the playoffs, because the time should be now. This group has been in charge since 2020. What have they done? The high water mark is 76 wins. That's not good enough.
No, and
but the owner doesn't invest, and the owner does not put pressure on them to win, evidently, either.
And when you have a guy like Adam Frazier, again, all due respect to his long career, but $1.5 million major league contract. It seems like he's made the roster just because he has a major league contract and not one of those that could have maybe led for him not to be on this. They don't have much of a bench. They have a lot of things that I think they lack, and so 76 wins seems like a lot, actually, at this point. We got to take a break here. 412-575-2600. Call us. Share your opinions about this, about the ongoing quarterback situation, anything else you'd like to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. All right, this is our tweet of the night, brought to you by Xfinity Mobile. Pirates send it out. Bradenton is truly our home away from home. Yins make spring training very special. And that concludes their spring training. They played today in Minnesota on the road. Now they're off tomorrow, and then it's on to Miami to take on the Marlins in what should be a really good pitching matchup in game one of that season down there. And if I remember correctly, the Pirates started well last year. It started in Miami, and then quickly things change. But Miami's a team that has a $47 million payroll, it looks like. So they certainly are not spending a lot of money. They have some very talented pitchers especially, and we'll see it in that series. But so win totals now 76. I saw in some books it's gone backwards. It's actually lower than that now. What is your take on where you think they're going to end up?
I think they're going to be a 74-88 team. I think they're going to regress. I think they're going to take a step back, Bob. I hate to be doom and gloom, Mr. Apocalypse, Mr. Negativity, or any of those nicknames, but give me a reason other than starting pitching and bullpen volatility. Bullpen should be better this year. I don't think there's going to be as many blown games, but then again, I'm not convinced David Bednar is going to go back to being the guy he was 2 years ago. Same could be said of Colin Holderman. Dennis Santana was their best relief pitcher in the second half of last year, and that was after he got claimed off waivers from the Yankees. Good move, but can he repeat that success? Big question. I really don't think he will do it quite as well as last year. And then I really do believe the lineup will be one of the worst in baseball. Brian Reynolds will be steady Eddie. He'll put up his numbers. I hate to say this, I think O'Neal Cruz is overrated. I think he's a good player. I think he's also a flawed player. And he's also now closer to 30 than he is 20. So I don't really think the Zebra is going to change his stripes, so to speak. I think he pretty much is what he is. Good player, never a great one. And then as far as the young players offensively, Bob, who develops this year? Henry Davis is down in AAA. Nick Gonzalez, I think, is a decent player. Nothing more, nothing less. And Joey Bart. I mean, it'd be a miracle if Joey Bart's able to duplicate what he did in 2024. So Paul Skeens will be elite. He'll be appointment viewing, appointment watching every fifth day. I know I'll be glued to my TV or at PNC Park watching him pitch. Other than that, I don't have high expectations for this Pirates team. I wish I did, because I love baseball, and I want, with just days away from the start of the season, to believe in this team, but I can't get there. The Cubs actually made moves to win this offseason, Bob. They went out and got Kyle Tucker. They got Ryan Presley to pitch the ninth inning. They made big moves. This Pirates team did not.
No, not at all. And you're counting on guys like Brian Hayes, IKF, who's really, to me, not an everyday shortstop, but he will be here. Gonzalez has got, I don't know if you're going to have more than 30 home runs combined for the entire infield, because I'm not sure when Horwitz is coming back and the guys are going to be over there, how many can they hit? So power is a problem. That's one of the big problems on this team. They don't have enough, and I imagine they'll be involved in some really tight games, low-scoring games. Can they get hits when necessary? We'll see. Let's go to the lines. Our number one Cochrane Go One Better caller of the night is in Butler, Pennsylvania. Matt is joining us first tonight. Hey, Matt.
Hey, guys. Hey, I agree with everything, Andrew, you just said, and Bob, you as well. The problem is the ownership does not care. They do not care.
I think he cares, but I don't think he's doing enough to show that he cares. In other words, if you asked him, he's a businessman who wants to make money, and he's doing a good job of that. He has every right to. But he also has a civic obligation, I think, to do what's best for this city based on what he was given when he came here and took over this franchise. So, no matter what they do year to year, the end result is valuation of the franchise. So whenever they do sell it, if he ever does, that's going to go up significantly. He's made money, lots of money that way. So to me, there's no excuse. They're stuck at $75 million payroll. Come on now. You've got to be in the 130 range. Most of baseball is. Most of baseball's higher than that, Andrew, and they haven't done it.
Well, so here's really the depressing thing for me. Last year we had the Mitch Keller extension. They actually threw money, a lot of money, the most money they had ever given a pitcher before to keep him. And then they went out and they spent close to $40 million on free agents, which really is not a lot, but for the Pirates it's not peanuts. They gave Aroldis Chapman $10.5 million to pitch the 8th inning. They went out and brought in guys, whether it was Marco Gonzalez with Seattle and Atlanta. They brought in Michael A. Taylor, Yasmani Grandal. I mean, they spent a lot more money going into last year, Bob, when Paul Skeens, we didn't know his arrival date. We didn't know his ETA. We didn't know. They were still kind of a rebuilding team last year. Now they have Paul Skeens, the favorite to win the NL Cy Young. They have this supposed great pitching, and they spent less money this offseason. Less. Wrap your head around that.
And it's
Explain
always,
that one to me.
It's always the same, too. It's one-year contracts for guys who are beyond their good years. That seems to be the way they go about doing it, and Tommy Pham fits into that. The name, fine, Tommy Pham, you know who he is if you follow baseball, but he's also 37. So do something different than that. They're still looking for first baseman left and right, but they're not willing to go the extra mile to get one of those guys. And they need it because they can't count on consistent hitting from third base, from shortstop, from second base, or from first base. So back to the lines we go. And this one will be Chuck in Uniontown on line one. Hey, Chuck.
Thanks, fellas. Hope your daughter gets better, Tony. Anyhow, you echoed the sentiments that I did. I wanted to maybe believe this team could finish as high as second place, but forget that because it's the same thing over and over. That they don't do the things that they're supposed to do. They don't do things that make you feel good about them. And the worst shame of it is they're not ashamed of it either. They just, as long as there is no commitment to win.
Well, I mean, the bottom line is that's what they're spending. They're not changing that. The commitment's got to come from on high. They've got to just make statements that they're going to do it, and they're going to stick to it and do it, actually show you some tangible evidence that they are. And I'll tell you this, Andrew, if you're not willing to spend money, you better hit on your developmental prospects, because if you don't have those guys coming up here on a regular basis, then what do you have? Supposedly they have guys in their system. I want to see it. I saw Eddie Yeen pitch today. He was supposed to be one of these guys, too. Where's he been? Why is he not up here? How about these guys they acquire in trades? They all look good when they're acquired. You need to see them up here and being productive. And so far, we haven't.
Bob, you're turning into me. When you're watching Eddie Yeen pitch, that's like when the guys get on me for watching NIT games. Okay,
Nothing
you're
wrong
watching
with that.
Eddie Yeen. I agree, but usually I get made fun of for that kind of diehard fan.
Well, you get my point,
behavior.
though, right? I mean, it's,
no, I do.
at this
100%.
point, if you're not going to get those guys up here now, what do you do?
No, but he hasn't developed or pitched well enough to deserve moving up through the system. Look, the issue here for me too is, yeah, we get it. They don't spend a lot of money, and that means the GM has to do a very good job, and not just the draft and development part, but is he going to hit on trades? Okay, is he going to make moves where he's borrowing from or taking away from his own player pool and finding guys from the outside that make this team better? Joey Bart was a good trade. Rodolfo Castro for Bailey Falter was a good trade. That's pretty much where it stops and starts, Bob. I mean, there's not much else out there. I mean, you can look at some of these other deals where Jack Sawinski or David Bednar came in, but Joe Musgrove went out the door in one of those deals. A really good pitcher who went on to pitch and win huge games for the San Diego Padres. So I think that's part of the failure of Ben Cherington. Ben's got a World Series ring on his finger, and no one can take that away from him, but I really did think he was going to be better at his job. I thought that was going to be a massive deal to bring in someone with his credentials and I think he's been worse than Huntington.
Yeah, 6 years later, it's got to start now. They have to get to a playoff spot now, I think. We got to go to a break. Come back with more of your calls, 412-575-2600 right here on KDKA Plus and 93.7 The Fan. All right, Ken Rice is standing by with a preview of the 11 o'clock news tonight on KDKA. Ken?
Hey, Bob, we're following breaking news: a standoff in Crafton Heights, plus potholes at Pittsburgh Mills Mall finally being filled. Ray Pelton's tracking some rain on the radar, all coming up right here at 11, Bob. See you in a few.
All right, thanks very much, Ken. Bill in Greensburg, go right ahead. Make it quick, please, sir.
Hi, guys. How you doing? Real quick, when Jared Jones went down, what I would have done immediately as a general manager, I would have ate the last 2 years of arbitration, and I'd had Jared Jones in I would have had Bubba Chandler in the starting lineup. This just shows they don't want to win. It's all about money.
Well, I'm not exactly thrilled about this lineup the way it is right now. When you look at it, Skeens, Keller, then after that you have Falter, hit or miss. You have Heaney, hit or miss. And then you have now Carmen Majinski. So I do believe there are other answers in their system. I don't know. Bottom line is, forget those clocks. Last year they showed me something when they brought up Jared Jones. They didn't have to do that. He knocked on the door pretty hard. They had to answer. Nobody else is knocking?
The only thing I'll say about Bubba Chandler is if he wanted to be in the Pirates rotation opening day, pitch better in spring training. His ERA was in the double digits. You know, Jared Jones didn't give up a run last year in the Grapefruit League, Bob, so he needed to pitch better, in my opinion, to make the team in March.
Yeah, but then you have guys like, Pham hitting 136, Frazier hitting 125, and I'm told to wrap, so that means I'm done. So
Bye,
you,
Bob.
Andrew. We'll see you again tomorrow night. Good night, and I hope your daughter's feeling better. Good night, everyone.